Over the course of 8 years, President Obama was shadowed by former White House photographer Pete Souza. His photos captured nearly every moment during the 44th president's 2 terms. Souza sometimes took 2,000 photos a day. His new book, Obama, an intimate portrait, features more than 300 photos. He takes readers behind the scenes with President Obama. Pete Souza, good morning.
Thanks for having me.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
It's really well done. And I love the foreword by the former president who says, I probably spent more time with Pete Souza than anybody other than my family in the 8 years in the White House. You were a constant presence and chronicler of history.
I was. It was a great privilege to do this job. I feel fortunate that I had the opportunity.
This is as good a picture as I've ever seen of the president.
I think so,
That's a
too.
fantastic photograph. But do you have one that you think identifies or sort of portrays the president more than any other single photograph here that captures him?
You know, I saw him in so many walks of life that it's hard to choose any one. Certainly, some of the one of him interacting with kids or with his family, but also the more weighty pictures of him in the Situation Room during the bin Laden raid. So I think the pictures together tell you the most about him than any one picture can.
Well, you certainly got to see the variety of him. You got to see his sense of humor. I love the one, page 102, where his foot is on the scale of someone who works with him. And everybody, he clearly was playing a joke on the guy, and everybody was in on the joke.
Yeah, Marvin Nicholson he was checking his weight because he had been trying to lose some weight, and he kept sliding the scale to the right, and unbeknownst to him, the president's got his toe on the scale.
I thought that was funny. You got hecklers backstage. I thought that was interesting. That here the president is speaking, and he's heckled, but he calls the hecklers backstage.
So
Service must have freaked about that.
It was an immigration policy speech, and there were these 2 guys that were heckling him during his speech, and he said, let me finish my speech, and then afterwards you come backstage and I'll have a private conversation with you. And that's exactly what he did.
And you see the Secret Service agent there.
Were there ever moments, and I know the president praised you for being almost invisible, he didn't know sometimes you were in the room, were there ever moments where you thought, this is too personal, I shouldn't be here, or there shouldn't be a photograph of this moment?
Not when it came to moments of history. With moments with the family, yes, I would try to give him space. Moments of history, I felt, you know, I am the guy that needs to be there for everything that happens. So in those cases, no.
Jim Baker has said about being Secretary of State, you really have to have the complete trust of the president. This is the same thing true about his photography.
Yes, absolutely.
Really have to have that relationship.
Absolutely.
How
and
did
I
you
think
earn that?
Well, I think you earn it over time. I mean, I was lucky in that I had known him for 4 years before he became president, had already established a professional relationship with him. So coming in, I already knew him. That helped. But then over time, you just have to earn that trust day in and day out.
I think about one of the most famous photos that I know was displayed in the White House for a long time was of a young boy touching President Obama's hair.
My favorite photo is that one.
That photo became so iconic because why?
Oh, I think for 2 reasons. One, the little boy's name is Jacob Philadelphia. He's touching the man who's the president, and he looks like him. But it also tells you something about President Obama, where he would be willing to bend over like that and let a 4-year-old just touch his head.
You said of that picture.
Didn't he say your hair is just like
Your
mine?
hair is just like mine.
Right.
That's why I think that photo is so beautiful. And you said of all the pictures, that stayed up the longest. Normally you take them down and you recycle them, but that one kept coming back because people wanted that to see that picture.
We took it down at one point, and I had individual staff members come into my office asking me to put it back up.
I love all the pictures of the president with children. Him with the super soaker gun. We have a picture. That's a very private moment. He's clearly with the family. I think it was in Camp David.
That's at Camp David.
Running around the pool.
Escorting Sasha, who's in the pool.
I thought that. I
on
think
her
that's
birthday
a fun picture.
weekend.
Yeah.
What was it like to be there in the Situation Room when they're watching the Obama bin Laden?
Yeah,
raid?
I mean, the thing that I like to tell people about that photograph is you have the most powerful people in the federal government watching as this is unfolding, and really there's nothing they can do. They've already made their decision and now it's up to those guys on the ground. And I think that's what leads to the anxiety in all those faces.
But I love the backstory you told about that, Pete. They just said, we need you to be here at such and such time. You didn't know what was going to happen. You said it's a very small room, and you said, I have to get in a corner and just stay, and you were trying to figure out which corner should I be in.
Who tells you that, the chief of staff?
No, I had about a week's notice that something was going to be unfolding. It was actually someone in John Brennan's office that alerted me. So I knew it was going to be on that Sunday. And it was actually, we were there all day.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that one 40-minute meeting in that little room, but there were meetings throughout the day.
What's your takeaway of the man who knew him before he was president, while he was president, and then after? What's your takeaway of Barack Obama?
My takeaway is, I met him his first day in the Senate in 2005. That was the first time I ever met him, and I obviously still know him today. I don't think the core of his character has changed one iota. I really don't.
What's the essence of taking a good picture?
It's capturing a moment, but accurately portraying the mood and the emotion that's taken place.
Seeing it coming.
Yes.
You do capture
you
the
were
moments.
invisible in some ways, as the president says before, but now you've taken a more visible role. And on Instagram, I noticed that you, in the words of some younger people, they say you troll President Trump. Why?
I mean, I think the photographs that I post on Instagram now and the words that I write, I think speak for themselves.
Right, Pete Souza, thank you very much. Yeah, your pictures and your words say a lot. I love watching your Instagram. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Look at the speech.
The name of the book is Obama, An Intimate Portrait. It's on sale tomorrow, wherever you like to buy your books.